Today we're going to talk about outcomes and rubrics and how we can utilize rubrics within SpeedGrader. So that you set up your learning targets in the outcomes item, which students don't need to be able to see for you to be able to use, but you can add an outcome and build in your learning targets or your MYP criterion. But I want to point out that in the Canvas Commons, if you search BSD MYP, a lot of those targets are right here already. So I'm going to try pulling in the MYP design targets into my sandbox. And it's doing this, and we'll come back into our outcomes and we'll keep going as soon as I have them. All right, so I spent some time refreshing and they finally came in. So what we have are the 8-point scales for A, B, C, and D of the criterion. And all of the others have all of their criterion in there. Humanities, you have all 8 criterion. I know you have a few more than we do in most other subjects. So now you can come into rubrics and you can build a rubric by clicking Add Rubric and then find the outcomes that you had. So if you want something that is criterion A, you can put it in here, and now we can delete this first one that doesn't matter. If you have an assignment that is A and C or A and B, you can add that also. And so now you have these, and when you go to grade, you can just click through the different items. So I've made my A and B rubric, I click create. So now when I'm in my module and I have an assignment, within the assignment, there is a plus rubric button. Now, a caveat, that button goes away when you put an external tool on, but you can still use a rubric, and I'll show you how. So we click plus rubric, and then we can find our rubric that we just made. So this sum rubric, because I didn't name it, is the rubric, and I'm going to use this rubric and it pops in. But you will notice that I can also, right here within the assignment, build a rubric, and I can find a rubric, or I can, again, find the outcomes and go back to my outcomes and just build the rubric that matters for that assignment. So that's there. We'll put that rubric back on. So now I have this rubric, and it's there, and it's right in the assignment for the students. So now when I come into SpeedGrader, and I have my assignment, I can view the rubric right here, and these are clickable, and they're not pretty to read in this way. I've been contemplating separating them out into bands, but you'll have to make that yourself. The district did not make those versions for us, but they're all there. So you can drag this out so that your rubric is a little bit wider, and you can say, okay, they got an 8 in criteria A, or maybe a 6, and they got a 4 in criteria B, or a 2, or you can click these ones in between, of course. So it's just that, and then you save, and their learning mastery shows up for you. And so I recommend making a complete incomplete assignment and using this learning mastery. What this does is then when you come back into grades, what the students see is this learning mastery option that shows they've got these different points. And of course, we should change our mastery. But they see that, okay, I've got a 6 in these different ones. And then they can click on them and actually see the specific assignments as well. And their view actually shows a little more of that. So when a student looks at their grade book in learning mastery mode, they see the criterion and how that score pans out in that learning mastery. and they can also see by assignment. Now, to quickly cover, if you have an external tool and you want to use a rubric, so we are going to click New Assignment, make our testing assignment, and we're going to click into it. Now, the key for an external tool is to, before you set up the assignment, add the rubric. If you do that, great, you have a rubric. If you make it an external tool, the rubric button goes away. But if you do it first, the rubric is there. So we've made the assignment, we add our rubric, and then we edit from there. And now we can add an external tool. Click select and save it. So now you've got your cloud assignment, and the rubric disappears, unfortunately, but the rubric will still be in SpeedGrader.